Oh, good morning again, my Teaserking family. I was getting internet bullshit, so instead of just wondering what's going on and having people watch the buffering for 20 minutes, I just come out of it and we'll try it again. Part two, take two. Click. So, my birthday yesterday went well. A little change happened. So I was planning on coming here at 10, going to get barbecue, going to play poker, going to swim. Turned into Alyssa called, needed a ride to the doctor's, so I gave her a ride at 10 o'clock. Got back home about 11:30, and I went and I just made a salad with chicken, and then went to poker about 2. And then from there, I played for about an hour, and then went swimming, and then stopped at the grocery store and had a steak for dinner. So I stayed stoic and just, where am I from here? And let's go from here and do whatever. So that's what I did. I didn't get upset. Like Alyssa said, she was going to come to the she was going to go to the barbecue with me and then go to the poker with me. And then she realized that the doctors, it was going to take longer. She said, why don't you go? I'll get a ride. And I know it's your birthday. So, she says, are you mad at me? And I says, no, why would I be mad at you? I'm not mad. I don't get mad because you tell me the truth and plans change. I understand that. Okay, tomorrow we'll go. So we're going to go Monday to a barbecue. Okay. And that's what happened. And so you stay stoic. Heard from Dara yesterday. She's okay. Now that she realizes it's minor surgery, she's much better with that. I says, now you can relax. She says, well, pretty much. I still got to go through it, but it's not like they're going to crack her face. I think they can just go in through there, and if it's here, and just like a dentist would do. So we'll see what ends up happening. She needs to get a CAT scan apparently, and then the doctor will take care of it. So in the meantime, she's been scared out of her mind, which I keep saying, you're causing more by being scared than the actual operation is going to do. It's a minor operation. So they told her it was minor. It's not a big deal. So I think she relaxes. I don't know what goes through people's minds. I do know there's a fear. There's a fear of a new job. There's a fear of going to a party. There's a fear of interacting. There's a lot of fears, mostly of the unknown. Mostly we haven't done it before. So the first time you meet somebody, you see them, you make a date or dinner or something, and that first, you're not comfortable with the other person yet. So there's that fear or that uncomfortable. Buying gold, there's a fear. People don't understand it, and they're afraid of selling their 401k to buy gold. And I try to say, you're Rumpelstiltskin. All you're doing is taking your dollar, putting it into gold. If you want, you can sell your gold and get back into the dollar. You're not going to lose. You're going to make money. You're not going to lose it. So I'm at poker, and of course I start teaching gold, right? So something comes up, and of course gold comes into it. So at first I explain the Titanic, and then I explain Rumpelstiltskin, and then one guy's looking at his phone. I said, so what are you looking at? And somehow gold came up, and he wants to play it like a stock, like an option, oh, I buy and sell it. I go, no, you don't want to do physical. You want to buy the coin. You want to buy the physical coin. That's what you want to do, and hold it. He says, well, no, I sell it. I go, you don't sell it. You're collecting them, just like you would do a baseball card. You bought a Joe Namath. Are you going to sell it? You don't. If you need money, you'll sell it, but otherwise you don't. So, hey, Prophet. Thank you, Prophet. Appreciate it. Like I said, I was going to come on. I was planning to come on at 10, and Alyssa called, so I had to take her to the doctor. So she can drive, but she doesn't drive very. She prefer to have me drive her. So uh, she likes talking because I talk stoic to her, and she likes that. So so gold comes up. So I start talking about the Titanic. I says, well, the dollar's collapsed. You got to find the lifeboat. And the only lifeboat you got is gold and silver. So if you stay in the dollar, and everybody kind of knows the dollar's in trouble, right? They all know the inflation's there, the dollar's in trouble, they need to get out of it. They don't understand gold at all. And so that's where I go into Titanic, because it's very easy to understand. It's sinking. You have one choice. You have to get off the boat or sink with it. And the only lifeboats are gold and silver. And then people get it. People, oh yeah, that makes sense. But people are still wanting to play it, they want to buy and sell it like a stock. This is the problem with kiddies this day. They don't understand anything about, well, the problem is they haven't been taught Austrian economics as what I teach. And so therefore you don't realize the dollar's going out. You think, well, I'll make some money in gold and I'll sell it and I'll buy and I'll sell it. And they don't understand it. This is what I'm trying to explain to them. So I got the whole table listening to me, probably 7 guys. How did the big poker game go? Did you clean them out? No, I didn't clean them out. I won a few dollars. That's it. Nothing big. I didn't get a lot of good hands. And it was hardly a big game. It was $1.03, no limit hold'em. And it was a very, very shy table. A lot of three checks. Everybody puts in 3, and then we see the flop. I mean, there was a few $10 hands, but nothing. There was no $1,000 pots. It was just people that were kind of wanting to see flops, not really doing a lot. If you did raise the 10, they'd all fold. There was one hand I had like ace 8, and I hit the ace on the flop. I bet $10, fold. That happened to me about 4 times. Well, I got to bet my aces, right? I got to protect them because it's not that good of a hand. And so I'd win a little bit. I'd win the antes, but I couldn't. What am I going to do? I can't bet $5. Even 10 was small. But that's the nature of the table. So I analyzed. These guys are just playing 3 pre-flop, 3, 3, 3, 3, and off you go. Okay. So here's what being priced in means. We'll get back to gold in a second. Priced in means there was a $10 bet, one of the few hands, $10, $10, the guy next to me, $10. There's $30 already in the pot. I'm priced in, meaning I'm last to act. I think I must have been big blind, and I already got $3 in. And then it's just simply, well, there's $30 in the pot. I put in 10. I got 4-1 odds, 10 to win 40. I had a decent hand, obviously, because I actually won that hand. I don't remember what I had. And so I call because I'm priced in, and flop comes. I hit my pair. Check. I bet 15 because there's 40 in, and I think I got one caller, and then I think I hit aces, right? And then one caller, and then check. And he had 9s, and I had aces, and I won about $50, which put me up a little bit. I lost one hand to an idiot. I had a 6. The flop comes like jack, ace something, and then a king hits, and I'm betting like $10 because it's me and him in the pot, and me and him were the only 2. So there's like $6 in the pot. I bet 10. He calls. The turn comes. It's king. I bet 10. He calls, and then he hits a 10 on the river to give him Jackson 10s, and he beats me. And I make a comment like, you had a 6-outer. I mean, you had there's only 3 10s in the deck to beat me. It's like I'll be happy to play with you all day. If you're gonna call, you got 6% chance of winning. It's 3 10s times 2. So you got a 6% chance of beating me. I love those odds. I'll do it all day. So you call me with jacks, with there's an ace and a king on the board. Are you fucking kidding me? So he doesn't, he plays still. Well, I'm just learning. I'm going, no, you're not learning. Who you're learning from? So that was the only real big hand I lost. But then I hit that other hand, which put me up. So I won a few dollars. I won $5. I couldn't get cards. I keep looking at 2-4, 3-9, 4-6, 5-7. So you can't play them. I only stayed about an hour. I didn't want to risk too much because I would rather have bought silver, but this was a birthday, so I thought I'd go. Now, psychologically, I won. I didn't win a lot. There wasn't a lot to win, but I did win. I could have pressed it up and bet 100 to win $5, but I think that's stupid. In other words, there's not a lot in the pot. Like the guy said, I only bet $10. That's why he called, and he hit his 10. This is, well, there's nothing there's $10 in the pot. I bet 10, you call. That's $20 plus the ante, so maybe $30. I'm not going to bet $100 into a $30 pot because if I get called, I'm fucked. I said to him, I thought you had an ace also. I couldn't figure out why else you'd be stupid enough to call with a jack when there's an ace and a king out there and you're calling. Kind of hard to figure. Profit. So it's like the poker games you see on TV where each player gets 2 cards and there are 5 cards on the table. Everyone has in count. Yeah, well, that's exactly what it is. It's called Texas Hold'em. I told him I prefer to play 7 cards stud. There's no community cards. You get 3 hidden and 4 in front of you. But you can't find that anymore. They all go to Hold'em. It's the community cards that really fuck it up. So it's all like the guy. I got aces. He's got jacks. 1 card to go. I should win the hand 99 out of 100. Well, actually 94 out of 100 because he's 6%. He catches the 10. All right, that happens. However, that's the problem with it. If it, but it's a community card. I get the 10, but I don't need it. He gets the 10. He gets some 2 pair. And I was very surprised. Yeah, you've got to understand if you have pair of 9s and the board comes queen, king, ace, and somebody's betting, my 9s are no good. I fold because I've lost. There's no way with an ace and a king and a queen out there, my 9s are any good. I mean, yeah, you could bluff, and have 2-3, but very unusual. So anyway, so you look at the hand and it's 2-4. I'm not playing that, especially in this game where everybody's just throwing in the $3 and checking, and you bet 10, they all fold. I have no interest to play a 2-3 or 3-4 or try to bluff. There's no. That's all fantasy. That's all TV land where they bluff. You can't. What are you going to do with that hand? Profit. What's to stop some high roller from simply outbidding everyone to win every hand? Somebody like me. I got pocket aces and you're the high roller and you make a big bet. And I'm gonna keep. I got pocket aces. I'm gonna check. You go make your big bet, and then I'm gonna go all in, and I'm gonna take you for all your money. That's what stops it. A smart player who understands what you're doing. It's called slow play. So I will slow play you, and I will just check my full house. I won't check my 4 kings. So it really doesn't work. You can do that. Now, think about it like this. You're going to put $200 in. So it's 1-3, right? The blinds are 1 and 3. So there's one guy puts in 3, the other guy puts in 3, and then it comes to you. Do you bet it or not? So what are you going to do? Put in $300 to win 3? Okay, you can have the $3. I'm not going to risk 300 unless I get aces or kings. So therefore, it becomes a very boring game. You risk a lot of money to win $3. Why do you want to risk $300 to win 3? You don't. You want to risk 300 to win 1,000. You want the odds. As I said, I was priced in that one hand. 3 people had put in $10. Now I'm betting 10 to win 40. Beautiful. And I hit. I think I hit aces on the hand. I had ace queen or something, and then the ace came, so I hit the ace and I won. Then I made the bet. Now maybe then you bet, the guy bets $100, I might fold. That's the pressure of it. But I bet you take the lead in that situation. You make the bet. The guy knows you have a hand. He's less likely to make a bluff on you. He could, but he's less likely to. Most of the bluffs come when it's check, check, check. Oh, I'll bet 15. Nobody seems to have a hand. They're all checking. Fold, fold, fold. Now, I was doing it with I had ace queen. I hit an ace. Now I got aces. I bet 10. Fold, fold, fold. That's the type of table it was. So you couldn't get real big pots. Like I said, that one big pot when there was already $40 in, and I won it. Hitting the aces. But everybody would just quickly fold. So they were just, for $3 they're in, for 10 they fold, 20 they fold. I mean, it was the biggest bet I made was $20 on the aces. But most of the other bets were just, I'd hit my pair, I'd bet $10 and they'd all fold. Now either they're afraid of me or what, I don't know. But that's what happens. So again, it's the first 2 cards. If I get 2-7, there's really not a lot I can do with it. I don't want to see. There was one hand I was the big blind. I think they made it $10, and maybe I was a small blind. I don't know. I was like one of the blinds. I think I had $1, and it was like $5 or something. And I looked, and I had 3-9, and I said, even if I hit my card, I can't. Or maybe it was after the flop. I said, even if I hit my 3 or my 9, I'm fucked. So I didn't call it. Anyway, so I never really got out. I lost a little in their hand when the guy called me and hit his 10 on the river. Put me down about 30, and then I won the hand where I was priced in, and I won it. So I won like 50. So I ended up like 15. And then you just put in your blinds every once around, $1 and then $3. So the big blind, 1 and 3, you got to put in 3. So you got to put in $4, and probably you're going to call as the small blind. So you're putting in $6 around. So all of a sudden I'm at 9, and then I'm 2-4 and 3-7, and I make a decision. Well, do I really want to keep playing, getting this garbage? And if I lose a hand, there's really hard to get back. And my mindset was I want to go buy silver as opposed to playing poker, right? I can't lose in silver, but I can lose in poker. And I'm like, okay, I'm up $5. Now, psychologically, I won. It doesn't matter how much you win. I wasn't there to win $50,000. Let's not kid each other. I'm playing $1.03 with 300, so I'm trying to make 100 or 2, and it goes right to silver. But I never got it, and then it was a question of, do I want to sit here another hour and look at 2-7 and 3-8? I didn't get a pair. I think I got a pair of 4s once, which immediately the flop came like an ace or a king, which I had to fold. Otherwise, I didn't get any aces, kings, or queens, or ace king. I never got an ace queen, ace jack. I think I got an ace 10 once. I think that's what I called the $10 with. And that was it. It was really, now I was probably there an hour. Now it was to get out for my birthday. I did win. So that was the key to it. It's hard being a professional because you're playing to win, right? So that's why I laughed at the guy who caught the 10 on me. I said, you had jacks, I had aces. What the fuck are you doing in? You've lost. You're not. There's an ace on the board. There's a king on the board. I'm betting, and you got jacks, and you're just like, what are you doing? That's an amateur versus professional. For me, if I have a jack and an ace and a king around the board, and it's being bet into me, I'm folding. I can't beat you. I got jacks. You've either got aces or kings. I'm way behind. So he should have folded. He said, "Well, it's just $10," and I'm like, "You're an idiot. But you're losing. You're going to lose the 10 and the 10 and of the $30." So that was the one hand I really lost. The other hands were just throw-ins. I'd have the blind, so I had to put in 3, and I'd look and I'd have crap and I'd fold. I mean, so that was the only competitive hand we're actually doing betting that I lost. One hand I played highly intelligent. I was very proud of myself. I had like queen 9. So I played queen 9, and the flop came 6, 8, 9. And there was 3 guys in, and it was, I think, bet, call, and it came to me. Now I have top pair with a pair of 9s with the queen kicker. But I see 6, 8, 9. And I just smell, here's where my spider senses took over. I said, well, one of these two has a 7. They're both like calling, right? So they're both in the hand. One guy bet, one guy called. Obviously, somebody's got a 7. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9 with 2 cards to go. I folded, even though I had top pair, because I just knew they were on a straight draw and I could feel it coming. Sure as shit, the next card is a 10, 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 with the 7 hidden in his hand. And then a jack hits on the river, and my pair of 9s are fucked. And the guy had the straight. And instead of chasing and betting because I have top pair, I read it that there was a straight coming, and I got out. I said somebody's got 6, 7, 8, 9, and I really don't want to chase it. I don't think 9s are that strong. Easily a ace king could come out and give somebody aces or kings or queens, which beat my 9s. So I folded. Now, not normally you should fold the top pair, but in this case, and at this table, I got out, and the guy got the straight. And again, I was patting myself on the back, going, "Nice fold." Sometimes it's folding is better than making the right call and losing, right? It's not costing you money. It's just like gold. Getting out of the dollar and into gold is what I did, right? I'm buying gold more to get out of the dollar so I don't lose than I'm getting into gold. But we know gold's going up. And that's kind of how it was. It was better to get out and not lose anything while he catches his straight. Now you're saying, well, you could have made it, you could have put in $200 and got him out. Well, yeah, but I wouldn't have won much. See, again, it's putting in 200 into a $10 pot. And then if he calls me and hits the straight, I lost $200 with the pair of 9s, but there was no gain in it. In other words, if I bet 200, I want to win 600, right? It's getting the odds. If I bet 100, I want to win 300, 400. If there's 200 in the pot, then I can make a $100 bet, and I'll win 300, right? That's the idea. But if there's $30 in the pot, why would I bet 200 to win 30? I want to bet 200 to win 500, not 200 to win 30. That's the problem with bluffing in the very small pots. You're only going to get called by somebody who has a hand, and you're not going to win anything. And at that table, ain't nobody was going to call a $100 bet or $200 bet. And I didn't see a point in putting 100 in when I know somebody's got a straight draw and he might call. So that's kind of how I viewed it. And if they both fold, I win $10. I really didn't see the point in that. So that's why sometimes you don't make the big bet, as you're suggesting. Is there a table limit? No, it's no limit. No limit hold'em. I think you can only come to the table, I think, $500. It used to be 1-2 with a $300 limit. It's 1-3. I think it's a $500 limit. So in other words, when I sit down at the table, I can't bring $10,000. I can only bring, I think, 300 or 500. So that's the limit you can bring. Now, if I'm at the table and I win, and now I have $2,000 in front of me, I can put in 2,000. It's no limit. You just got to start with, let's say, 500. So if you move it to 1,000, then you have it. Now, if I was playing the Russian girl who bluffs, she would have put in $100 every time, and I wouldn't have called her except for the time I hit the aces. Now, I don't know what she would have done pre-flop. She probably would have done $20 pre-flop. I don't know. The more aggressive people do that, but you just fold it because, I mean, unless you get aces or kings or ace king or a very strong hand, you can't play it with with a pair of fours or 9-8 of diamonds. You can't play those hands against the $20-$30 bet, because if you don't hit, it's hard to get it back. So a bluffer would be betting, probably putting in $20 on the flop. That's how she would have done it. So it's 1-3. Maybe she calls. I don't know. And then the flop comes. She bets $50. Now you're like, fuck. I didn't hit. I just fold. So she's winning $6 by betting 50 or $9. That's how a bluffer does it until they get a good hand. And then she checks the flop, and then she ate the Oreo cookie. She's got a strong hand, and then you would just, now that's where you trap. I got pocket aces. I'm just going to check it. Flop comes. Here comes her 50. She's bluffing. Now I got aces. I call, and I look at the expression on her face. Go, oh fuck, he called me. And then the next card comes, and then she makes her bluff, and then I go all in. That's how you beat the aggressive bluffer. You don't tell her you got a hand. You just check and call, and she doesn't know what. Maybe you're on a draw, and maybe you've got a set, and you're going to nail her. And that's what I told her. I says, when you do that, I know you're bluffing. Then all of a sudden, the flop comes, and she gets a set of nines, and she checks. I said, well, I know you hit it because you checked. You got to bet. You have to bet the same. You have to be consistent. Otherwise, I know what you're doing. It's like an NFL team. If you can't run and you just pass Dan Marino, Dan Fouch, you're not going to win because I know you're going to pass every time. My guys are going to blitz you every down. But if you might run, then I got to, Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City, Detroit. I don't know what you're going to do. So I got to play you for both. And that's really the key to it. So that's what you're trying to do. You can't be that predictable. You can't. So what I told her is you have to make a bet every time, even if you hit the set, because you bet on your bluffs. Bluff, 5 bluffs, $50, $60, $70, and you're scaring people out. And then you hit your hand. Now you got a set of nines and you check. Well, I know what you've done. But however, if you bet $50 on the nines, I might think you're bluffing. I might call you. But you can't make it that obvious by checking because you hit a good hand that I'm supposed to then call you because you checked. As soon as you check, I know you got a flush, a straight, whatever, immediately. And unless I have a huge hand, I can't. I'm just going to check right back to you. So that's the problem with fucking around like that. You can't check as the bluffer when you get a hand. You got to bet the hand. And that's the problem with bluffing. As soon as you get a hand and you check, then everybody knows you've done it. So we start talking gold, as I started to say. So really, I didn't get good cards. I didn't force it. I had 3-7, 4-9. I just folded. I'm very patient, and it's just the environment's nice and talking, and we talk gold. Um, Again, I don't go in with the mindset I'm going to win $1,000. That never crosses my mind. It's whatever happens. It's just what cards am I going to get? Aces and kings, pair of nines and tens, or 2-9 and 2-6. And most of my hands were 2-9, 2-6. So most of them are just throw it away, which gets frustrating, which gets boring, which just drains you. And it was like, okay, after an hour, I said, that's enough. And I happened to be up 5. And so now psychologically, I won, which makes me feel good. It doesn't matter how much you win, it's you won. That's what people don't understand when I tell them I quit a winner and they don't. I say, I don't understand what quitting a winner means. Well, if you lose $500, what's your mental status? You know, you're probably a little pissed. Even if I win $5 or 500, it's the same thing. I won. So I'm in a positive frame of mind. And that's what the point is. That's what quitting a winner does for you. Now I could go back today and go, well, I won yesterday. Although I wouldn't go back today because it's an 8 and I play on 7s and the numbers. So that's the key to it. And then being strong enough, I read everybody. I knew what they were going to do. Most of them are just putting in. There was one guy who would bet $15 or $20, and most of the other guys, you could see a flop for $3. Like if you threw your $3 in to see a flop, probably wasn't going to get raised. Once in a while it got raised, but once in a while you get aces. But I found that the cards being dealt were terrible. Everybody was getting crap. You'd make a $10 bet, everybody's full because nobody's got anything. So again, they need action. I don't. And that's what it was all about. So I was there an hour. It was fun. It was my birthday. I got out. I enjoyed it. So then we start talking. Some guy's talking about gold. He's like, I like playing like options in it, or like he gets in and out. You know, I make some money and I get out. So I says it's not a stock. You don't do that with gold. Now, yes, you get the 10 o'clock drop and maybe you buy it at 10:30 and then it starts going up. That's what I used to do with the stock. But you want to buy gold. He says, when do you sell it? I go, you don't sell it. You're not buying gold to sell gold. You're buying gold because A, it's way undervalued, and B, you're getting out of the dollars, and that's the only thing you can go into, gold and silver. That's why you buy the gold. You're getting out of this. You're Rumpelstiltskin. That's I use Titanic and Rumpelstiltskin. That's when I use it. It says, this is worthless, so you have to get out of it. And the only lifeboat you have is gold and silver. That's it. That's what you're trying to do. You have to get out of it. But I said, but you don't want to get back into it. So you're making money doing options or whatever the fuck you're doing, and you're making a little bit here and a little bit there. But now he's not actually getting physical gold. He's just doing paper gold, JP Morgan. He's doing that. And I go, yeah, but you're missing the point. You're all right, let's say you make $1,000. You didn't make anything because this is worthless. If you don't have the physical, it won't really matter. You're gonna be fucked. And then I got their attention. The Titanic story got their attention. The boat's sinking. It doesn't matter if you make a few dollars here and there. The boat's sinking. You have to get on the lifeboat. And I kind of tried to gauge if they're listening or they think I'm full of shit or they're actually interested. And I got that they were actually interested. I could see the looks on their faces. They were like, oh, wow, really? So, because you never know if you got Keynesians sitting with you or these Marxists, the communists who, it's the right of the worker. So that's really what you got to do. And so I told them it doesn't matter if you make some money doing that because you're still in money. So he says, so when do you sell it? I go, you don't want to get back on the Titanic is the way I explained it. And the guy goes, oh yeah. That makes you could see the lights starting to go on because they're all making money at gold. They're making a little bit of nickel dime option, option derivative gold, but that's you're missing the whole point. The points to get out of Dodge, to get out of this. That's the point of buying the gold, is to get out of this. And okay, you're playing derivative or whatever. It's very high risky. You're going to get burnt because we know what's going to happen. We know it goes down because of the derivative. We know nobody's selling, and we know if you're going to do it, you should do it high. You should do it to go up. But again, we know there's nobody physically selling. So it's just being done with derivatives, and good luck betting on what the derivatives are going to do. So I think, when do you sell it became not an option. You collect it, you don't sell it. So that was pretty interesting, I thought. I was getting into it, but then I was leaving. But that's what you did. Then I ran into some basketball coach, and we were talking about coaching, and I says, well, you got to have, a quarterback and a defense. And he was a like Division III basketball coach. So I started trying to help him out, going, okay, you need a center and you need a good guard. You need Magic and you need Kareem. That's how you win. And so he was listening to, so it was a pretty good conversation. And then I went to the pool. So 29.11 for gold. So it's sticking in the 29s. Everybody has to, so what they're doing is, in silver, they're protecting. Silver is like 32.50. They're protecting the derivatives from going bust. That's why you see it being pushed down. It's got nothing to do with the keeping the price down for the Chinese or any of that. And people don't understand the Chinese are broke, except for they got 60,000 tons of gold. Otherwise, they're broke. So people aren't getting that. Mark McGuire, we'll watch a little Mark today. Very good show. He was by himself. He was, the way we like it, where we don't want the guests because we really don't want their opinion. We don't really care about it. We found Mark, and then Mark started explaining, and I thought that was a very, that's why we watch it. It's like you. If you watch me and I had a guest on, you turn it off. You don't want to hear his opinion. You want my expertise. And that's why, we have Tom Brady come on every once in a while, or Joe Montana. But that's it. So looking at the Tom Brady card, I found this. So I searched on the Brady rookie. And it's supposed to be the refractor. So here's the regular card, guy. 5. I don't know why this came up, because I queried on refractor. This is not a refractor. So there's a refractor, PSA 6 going for $25,000. Now I'm getting excited. Then I see a PSA 9 for $40,000. Now I'm really excited. Then I see it again for $69,000. There's my card, and it's a Beckett 9. It's not a PSA 9, which I'm even more excited. Then I see it again. I don't know what HG8 is, $230,000. Now you've got my attention. I don't know. I've never seen this manufacturer before. It's not a PSA 8. And if we look at it, it says corners are 7, surface is 8, edges 6.5, centering 8.5. Well, my corners are 10, and my edges are 10. The surface, I believe, is a 10, and my centering's perfect. I'm looking at his centering, and I don't even see where there'd be a centering problem. 8.5. I'm like, well, where do you see it off center? Right? Maybe a little left to right. Maybe uh, a little bit more on that side than the other. I don't know. I look at mine and I see no centering issues. Right, left to right, it looks perfect. Top to bottom looks perfect. I know my corners are sharp. I know my edges are sharp. And I looked at it yesterday for any scratches or anything. So I took the cloth, just kind of wiped it off in case I had a fingerprint on it or something. I don't know how it won't get a 10, which I'm getting very excited if this guy's got an 8. Now, there's no way he's getting that, but I'm not really seeing a PSA 9. Um, Here's another Beckett 8.5 for 30,009. And if we look at what's wrong with his, centering 9.5, edges 9.5. The surface is 7.5, so it's a little scratched. Corners are 9, so mine would be 10, 10, 10. The surface, I think there's just the way it is because it's a glossy refractor that could have a little bit of wear that I'm not aware of. So maybe it's a PSA 9. Good Lord on. This guy got him graded by Beckett instead of PSA. See, you got to be careful. This is a Bowman Chrome, but it's not a refractor. $13,000. That's why the refractor gets the big money. Here's one that's 99 count. So here's a 99 count, which of this card, which I didn't know existed. I would have tried to buy it, but it's not a refractor. But it is a 99 count. I'm surprised it's only 12,009. It's a Beckett. Oh, it's a PSA 7. That's why. Or yeah, this card. So this is a PSA, but it's a 7. So even though it's 99, you can see the smear above his helmet, which really fucked it up. So he's got a 7, and he's getting 36,000 for it. Well, he's asking 36,000 because it's only 99, but it's a 7, and the grading matters. And again, the key is this is a refractor. So you see these other cards. There's a Bowman, but it's not a refractor. It's 12,000. It's a PSA 9, but he doesn't have that because the refractor is more limited. And anyway, so you can see all the different markets. So there was a promotional card. It says promotion on it, and it is a PSA 10, and he wants 100,000 for it. So mine isn't a promotional. The promotional just means it's probably more limited, I guess. I don't know. It says out of 250. So again, you've got to read these carefully. It's a Bowman Chrome, but it's not the refractor. So here the guy, you wonder, well, why is it 7,600? Because it's not the refractor and it's not PSA. It's a Beckett Gem Mint 10, so it's in good shape. But for some reason, they don't respect Beckett. But what do we not see in there? A PSA 10. So to me, the front obviously has issues. There's a little bit of, because it's a refractor, a little bit of scratching on the surface. Everything else, the centering's 10, the corners are 10, the edges are 10. It's a 10 all the way around. It's just a matter if there's a little scratch. That's why I took the cloth to it and I just kind of rubbed it on there. It seemed to clean it up a little bit, but again, it just comes out of the pack. I bought it at the show for $100 or whatever. I wanted it because it was Bowman Chrome, and then when it was a refractor, so this could be my really big card. Could be worth the same. If it gets a 10, it'll be worth more than the Montana 10. But that's because I understood the market and I understood the demand for Montana and the demand for Brady are huge, just like Mantle and Jordan, that you're going to be fine. Mahomes is getting there with his Super Bowls. This is why you got to be careful with Joe Burrow, because he hasn't won a Super Bowl. He's a great quarterback. So was Marino. So was Dan Fouts. They didn't win the Super Bowl. So they fall down a lot. Now, not that Mark Rippon, who won a Super Bowl, has any value because he was a nobody. But like Marino and Fouts were really, really superstars. So that's what you're looking for. You got to be careful. I saw Jalen Hurts going for some like $6,000, and I just laughed, going, "You've got to be kidding to buy that card." He had nothing to do with the Super Bowl. It was their defense. Maybe you buy Sean Barkley. Maybe you buy him. Jalen Hurts did nothing. So you got to be careful to get Hurts. But again, be careful with Joe Burrow. Nick always asks me, and I always tell him, he hasn't won a Super Bowl. Let's see him win a Super Bowl or two before we get all. When I bought this card, I did not buy it in 2000 or 2001. I bought this card like 2004, 2005. It was after he had won. I think he had won 2 Super Bowls by then. And I said, "Oh, okay, well, he's got 2 Super Bowls. I'll buy it." But you could get it for nothing. I mean, I probably spent $100 on it, maybe $150. That was it. And again, it's not graded. So the dealer probably pulled it out of a box or bought it from a kid for $50. He's just trying to turn it over, just like these gold dealers. I'm going to go buy silver at $32 an ounce after class. And it's just because he's trying to move it, because he bought it for spot. He paid $32. He'll make $2 an ounce. All he sees is it's 32. It doesn't move. Just like the lady at work when I was working there, it doesn't move. I'm better off in the annuity at 9%. Silver doesn't move, and you're just rolling your eyes at her, going, "You're the dumbest person I've ever met." Or as I like to say, "You're too fucking stupid to talk to." I love that line. Like when you're just talking to an idiot, I go, "You're too fucking stupid to have a conversation with." And so that's the point. And these dealers they're just trying to move inventory. So you just take advantage, which is what you do at a card show. He probably bought it for 50. I'm going to give him 100. All he knows about is he got this card and he got $100, and now he can feed his family. That's all these dealers. They're not Rhodes Scholars or Austrian economists, as we like to call them. So the Raiders just signed free agent Geno Smith. Well, good for them. They're better off with Minshew. Geno Smith, from Seattle. That Geno Smith? He stinks. I don't know what they're thinking. I can't believe I watched Geno Smith in college. I can't believe he's even in the pros. He's terrible. Yeah, so Seattle. So where did Russell Wilson going? Is he going anywhere? Russell Wilson is a lot better than people think he is. And if anybody signs Fields, you're out of your mind. He's just a runner. I don't know why, like the Steelers had Hines Ward, they put him at wide receiver, and they had Antoine Randall and they put him at wide receiver. They knew they were bad quarterbacks. Now, for some reason, it's like the kid at the poker table buying gold options and, buying them, and then selling them quickly, right? They're in and out real quickly. They're like day trading the gold options or comex or whatever they're doing. And it's like somebody gets into that as opposed to buying physical. And I'm kind of reprimanding the guy. No, you have to buy physical. You don't understand. This is collapse. This is worthless. That's why you have to buy physical. You don't want to play around with. You can play around with these, but who cares if you make $1,000? It's this isn't worth anything. You made 1,000 Monopoly money or toilet paper. That you have to get into that. So people don't really understand it. And this is the point with the running quarterbacks. They think, oh, well, this is great. I have a running quarterback. And how many games has Lamar won in big games? Oh, yeah, none. Josh Allen struggles to win a Super Bowl. Although he's got a good arm, he can't read defenses. And so you go along the line. Mahomes is mobile to a point. Joe Burrow's not really mobile. Aaron Rodgers is not really mobile. Tom Brady was not really mobile. Joe Montana was not really mobile. They could get out. If you gave them 5 yards, they could get the 5 yards for the first down. That's it. But the mobile quarterbacks, Michael Vick, Donovan McNabb, Steve McNair, how many Super Bowls did they win? Oh, yeah, 0. Why do people think all of a sudden this is a new thing and all of a sudden it's going to work? And it's just like the guy day trading gold futures. I mean, it's like, dude, you got to buy physical, not that. And it's the same thing here. You've got to get quarterbacks who can actually throw the ball. So the Steelers had it right. I'll make Kai Warren's a receiver, and I make Antron Randall L a receiver, not a quarterback. Said a bit, Hines Ward can't complete a pass, but he's mobile. The mobile doesn't work. The mobile's never worked. Show me one time a mobile worked, and you can't. Bart Starr wasn't mobile. Bradshaw tried to be mobile, and they sucked. And then when he sat back in the pocket and handed the ball to Franco and hit Lynn Swann, did the Pittsburgh start winning? Montana was superstar. Troy Aikman, he couldn't run. Steve Young ran. They never won. And then Brady never ran. Okay, you won with Joe Flacco, who was not mobile. You won with those Washington guys. Those quarterbacks were not mobile. So at what point did a mobile quarterback win? Jalen Hurts won, but it was the defense and Barkley Barkley didn't do much in the Super Bowl, but it was the defense that won. At a pick six, another one at the 10-yard line. And, you didn't win because Hurts was a mobile quarterback. You weren't because you had the Georgia defense. And so that's my point. Otherwise, Mahomes is winning, and then the Stafford beat Burrow in that great game. So what are you talking about? I'd rather have Burrow, and I'd rather have Mahomes, and I'd rather have Stafford than Lamar, and even Josh Allen. Who'd you rather have, Josh Allen or Burrow? Of course, Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is a superstar. But it's not his fault, just like it wasn't Marino. Marino never had a defense. Dan Fouts really never had a defense. Montana got a defense, and they would win everything, right? 1984, he had the number one defense. They killed Miami. And then in 80, he won in 88 with this killer defense in 89. And then 90, he got hurt in the game, or they would have three-peated. Mahomes, great defense. So you've got to have the whole package, but if your quarterback runs and can't throw, forget about it. It just doesn't work. Anyway, what else? So that's what you're looking for. So if you get a chance, you don't get Bowman, you get Bowman Chrome. It's limited, it's more likely. And then if you can, you get the refractor over the regular card. So I was very lucky to find not only the Bowman Chrome but the refractor. The other Brady cards I got are his ones where he's in the jersey. They're, I think, Pacific or something, and they're very limited. They're like 738. I got a few of those. I got a couple different sets. I got a Pacific and I got somebody else who are and they're numbered. And but they're not, I don't know what they're worth. Yeah, I searched on Bowman Chrome Refractor. That's why I didn't see them. But again, you can't go wrong with limited. It's again very limited supply and high demand. Being a refractor, this is very limited, but it's Brady, so it's high demand. It's gold, it's very limited, and why are people getting into it? And people are not understanding inflation. It's amazing. I'll sit on YouTube and watch these gold guys, Peter Schiff and Rickards and Rick Rude and all these idiots. None of them understand inflation. None of them understand the dollar's gone, except for Egon. Alligator, I think, starting to figure it out because he's listening to me, apparently. Because all of a sudden I'm hearing words come out of his mouth that I say that he, oh, gold can't be printed. Well, I've been saying that since 1995, and yet they never said it. All of a sudden I'm saying it, they're saying it. So that's anytime you can get something more limited. So get the refractor over the regular card. That's how you buy cards. That's why you buy gold and silver. Why do we even go to gold and silver? Why don't we buy something else? Why don't we buy this card? Or why don't, instead of buying gold and silver, I'm going to buy this card, PSA 10, and I'll pay 90,000 for it. Because I did that with my money, right? I took $100,000 and bought gold and silver with it, mostly gold. So why didn't I take $100,000 and buy the Montana rookie card, which at the time was probably 20 or 30,000? Because the gold is money. And in other words, question asked, if this is PSA 10 and 100,000, questions asked, well, when do you sell the gold? And I go, you don't. That's the key to it. The gold will be the money. You don't sell it. Well, when would I sell this? Again, I don't get a PSA 10 Montana to sell unless I want to trade it for gold. Then I got to get money, and then I take the money and buy gold. So if I bought this for $100 and oops, it's a PSA 10 because I'm smart enough to look for perfect cards and I found one and it was very hard to find, then I can turn it in because I spent $100 on it into money. So I can do Rumpelstiltskin and then take the money and buy the gold. So in other words, I could maybe go to the coin store if this was graded 10 and say, this is $100,000. I'll give it to you for 90 and I want 90,000 in gold. Maybe he would take it because I'm letting him make 10 grand on the card, right? He can sell it for 100. I'll give it to you for 90, but I'd rather have the gold than the card, which is kind of even Steven with me. I don't know if I'd sell the card for the gold, but there's some cards I would sell for the gold. Not every one of my cards, but a lot of my cards, I would rather have the gold. I got a beautiful Walter Payton rookie card. That's another $100,000 that, again, needs to be graded. I mean, that one I might part with, but I don't really want to part with Montana or the Brady card. I really don't want to part with either of those two. However, if it was a PSA 10 and I got 250,000 for the Brady, but what would I do with the money? I would have to, it'd have to go into gold because I can't leave it in money. So you have to realize you can't leave it in money. You have to get it out of toilet paper. So that's what you got to be careful with. You can't sell it and be in this. You can't sell your gold just to get this. You can't profit take your gold. That's the key to it. If you buy gold, if you bought your gold at 1,700 or maybe 1,000 or maybe $35 an ounce, maybe you were in the 1971, you can get it for $35, and maybe you happen to have $10,000 and you could buy 300 ounces. Maybe that's what happened. And then you held it. Now maybe you want to profit take. Well, where are you going to go with it? You'd be stupid to. So you can't really get out of it. There's nowhere to go with it unless you're going to pay a credit card or buy a car with cash, which you don't want to do in inflation. If you buy a car now, you don't want to pay. You want to go into debt and pay them back in inflated dollars that are worthless, and just keep your money. Luke has that problem. He wants to buy a car and pay for it. And you're kind of like, no, Luke, with this inflation, you want to maybe put half down, but you want to be in debt, a fixed debt. So if you got a car that's 2% and it's fixed, yeah, you don't want to pay it off because you're paying them in dollars that are worthless, but the interest rates aren't going to go up on you, and that's where you got to go. So that's really what you're doing. So it's people are looking at investments incorrectly. They're looking at it, I got to buy stock and sell it, and I make my money. And I'm saying, what good is the money? The money's worthless. So you want to put it into gold as it's going to go up and the money's going to go to zero. So you don't want to keep getting back into this, right? You want to get out of this. So you could buy options in gold and futures and stuff like that. Whatever floats your boat, you can do it. But you need to start selling the profits and putting them into gold and silver. And when do I sell it? The answer is never, unless you need the fiat to go on a vacation or something. So you're going to use it immediately and buy plane tickets to go on vacation. If that's your case, that's what you do. Otherwise, you don't want to do that. You want to be in gold, because gold, where this card went from 100 to 100,000, again, if it's a 10, gold's doing the same thing. Now it's 29.11, going up to 20, 30, 40 grand. So gold is now the Montana card when I bought it at $100. Now it's 100,000, and that's where gold's headed. Or the Brady card I bought for $100, maybe 150. Because I never spent $1,000 on cards, especially not graded ones. So let's say this was one. Now it's, if this is a 9, it's 100,000. So again, why would I? That's where gold's at now. Gold's at the $100 that I sold it for. So you don't want to sell your gold because it's about to go through the roof. That's the point of it. What did I want? I wanted to eat something, I think. I got strawberries. All right, give me 5 seconds. I want to get some water. All right, usually I put the picture right next to me, but okay, so now we've got the concepts down. That's kind of what the NFL draft is, where they're spending a little, hoping they get a Montana, hoping they get a Brady. When I go play poker, I have no illusion of what I've got. It's just, we'll see how the day goes. We'll see who the table is. We'll see who the cards are. And then you adjust going forward. And that's what you do. You can't be predetermined in anything. You just go with it. All right. So let's look at Mark McGwire. Well, first, we got Egon.
Being at the end of a monetary era, we are going to see the financial system, in my book, collapsing. That's the only way you can get rid of the debt. You can't have a new currency. It doesn't work. Because if you write off the debt, you've got to write off the assets also, and then the assets will implode. So I think we'll have, at some point, a decline of the whole of the Western system. And then you will have, of course, the sun rising in the east. And, of course, China will suffer also. Many countries will suffer. But they'll come out of it faster. Whether that takes 3 years or 10 years, I have no idea, and it doesn't matter. So, but if you see the risks, you protect yourself, and that's what, of course, our investors are doing with gold and your side of Bitcoin also. So that's in a simple way how I see the world developing. I'm not a pessimist. It might not happen, but risk yourself, protect yourself, and then enjoy life. That's what it's all about.
I was making so much.
Okay, first of all, it definitely is happening. And yes, you come out with another currency backed by gold, you reprice everything. This is what he misses. You reprice everything. So these strawberries are $2.99 for a container, and they get repriced in gold at 5 cents because the value of the dollar is worthless. Oh, that's terrible. I hate when you get these strawberries that they're a little bit white and there's just no taste to it. This one you need is a dark red one, but it's a little crushed. So you're buying strawberries cheap, but you realize they taste like shit. So you got to look for dark red ones. If they're white at all, they're not ripe. And who knows what they put in them, what hormones or whatever in the soil. So if it's me, what we do is we come out with gold-backed currency, and then you just simply switch it, and then all the debt gets revalued in the new currency. He doesn't get that. That's what you do. So you do pay your debt off, but you pay it off with the new currency. So that's how you do it. So the old currency goes to zero. It's like Germany, 1923. The Reichsmark went out, and then you could buy the house for $100 with the Deutschmark. So yes, you do switch currencies. You don't necessarily default. So we owe China $1 trillion in bonds. All right. Well, now we're going to come out with back currency, and $1 trillion in crap U.S. dollar goes to 100,000 gold-backed currencies. So here's your 100,000 China in gold, right? Because that's what you're going to do. You're going to value the gold. And that's how you do it. So he's a little bit confused. Now this, I enjoyed watching this.
Money with DoorDash. I wanted to earn money in my free time, but I didn't want to go out and get a boring.
Good to see it here in the Bay Area, across Florida and the Caribbean. A very expensive failure in the sky as the SpaceX Starship exploded and fell back to Earth in pieces, causing some Florida airports to briefly shut down over concerns about all that falling debris. Well, SpaceX says their Starship rocket will one day carry up to 100 people on interplanetary flights.
Yeah, but with last night's explosion, the program suffered a major setback. 8 on Your Side investigator Brittany Mueller joins us now live.
Okay, so are you standing in line to get on a SpaceX flight? We're going to interplanetary travel. Really? And how are we going to do that? What planet are you going to? We're going to go to Mars, Pluto, Saturn? What are we, Total Recall? Is Arnold Schwarzenegger going to be there? Is he going to look like wearing the mask of the lady? Says, I'm about 2 weeks. What is Musk doing? He clearly doesn't know what he's doing. His spaceship blows up. Oh, let me stand in line for the next one. I have good confidence that that's going to work. So he's got the cars that nobody wants. He's got spaceships for interplanetary travel that nobody wants, nobody's asking for. So this guy's really good at doing things that nobody wants. He doesn't understand Say's law, which says you do what people want. That's what you build, not what people don't want. There's no demand. So we still think he's the greatest thing, huh? So Tesla will probably be worthless because the cars blow up, the rockets blow up. Are you kidding me? I don't know how he makes profit. Who the hell is paying 100 grand for an electric car that blows up, catches fire? If you need a new battery, where are you going to find a new battery? Where are you going to go to Ace Hardware and say, yeah, I need a new battery for my electric car? Yeah, that'll be $20,000. If you could find the silver for the battery. Unbelievable. There's something that she does on This Ancient Herb Was Banned, good for your eye. So I recommend watching it. I haven't watched it. Problem is she sets it up and you got to watch 10, 15 minutes to get to like, what's the ancient herb that I need for my eye? So we'll go there. Here's, this is one on silver price suppression, which was basically derivatives. Like when I see it, I already know what it is. It's the derivatives that are keeping the price down. It's JP Morgan. Well, we already know that. So it's really hard to watch it because it's either what we already know or it's something that's just totally wrong and we just laugh at it. Here's Egon again.
Financing the deficit is going to be such an enormous cost. Financing the debt is going to be an enormous cost. They're not going to get it down. The political moves against every congressman or every senator are going to be against cutting down on his expenses in his area. And Trump is going to have a lot harder time than he thinks. And whether he will be seen as a good president or not depends on how the economy will perform. And since we are at the end of a monetary era, in my view, but it doesn't have to end in the next 4 years, of course. It can take longer. It always takes longer than you think. I realize that. Trump, he might even be seen as a bad president if the economy really turns down. It's all about the economy and the stock market.
Are you having trouble?
Well, of course, the economy is going to turn down. It has to. Here's a quick Stoic one, and then we're going to get into Mark McGuire.
You can master your life. Here are 5 Stoic secrets to stay calm and positive, no matter what happens.
We all need this.
Control your first reaction. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." Pause, then respond. 2. Expect nothing. Accept everything. Life owes you nothing. The sooner you accept that, the lighter your mind becomes. 3. Focus only on what you can control your mind.
That's a big
your
one.
Actions, your attitude. Everything else, let it go. Practice negative visualization. The Stoics imagined the worst, not to suffer twice, but to be ready when life hits. 5. Detach from outcomes. Do the work. Stay patient. Let the results take care of themselves. And subscribe to the Stoic verse for more wisdom.
Just financing the debt.
You got to love it. Where's Marcus Aurelius when we need him? All right, so let's go to Mark McGuire.
With gold outperforming every other asset class, a rising gold price has not gone unnoticed by fund managers who've never looked at gold investments before, and this massive move into gold has only just begun.
They now have to keep printing or we crash.
We've got this ticking time bomb.
Talking gold with the one and only
Mark
Andrew
McGuire.
So they're imbalanced. So they're forced to when we see these things happen and the physical market starts to take control, they're forced to cover these imbalanced bets against paper market gold. Now this represents an unprecedented change in behavior, which rails against the only remaining central bank trying to manage the dollar price of gold, but with the Fed, of course. But with Basel III compliance closing in on US markets on the 1st of July, they're beginning to fold their hand early. Also, With gold outperforming every other asset class, a rising gold price has not gone unnoticed by fund managers who've never looked at gold investments before. And this massive move into gold has only just begun. This opens up an enormous amount of buying that was never there before. So with an increasing percentage of futures market bets increasingly moving into the hands of funds seeking long-term exposure to gold as an alternative first-tier asset, it's forcing bears to fold bets against gold and driving the 50-year unbacked paper to real physical gap to close. So that we've talked for years about how this paper to physical market gap is beginning to close. Now, many funds are not able to hold physical gold, so they buy shares.
Okay, we'll get back to that in a minute. Let me answer profit. How long is it going to take for the bottom of the real estate market to fall out? Are you expecting like a date with that question? Do you want like July 1st? I mean, how can I possibly give you with what I'm teaching you? I get your question. I honestly cannot give you an answer of July 15th, if that's what you're looking for. Now, if you're saying, will the real estate market bottom out? I would say absolutely. And that's going to happen, as we know, because people will lose their job. The inflation will kill it. It'll kill the economy. We'll be into a depression. And people won't be able to pay their mortgage, so they'll go back to the banks who don't want them, because it's the worst thing for a bank is real estate, because they're not real estate, they're banks. And okay, you owe me $500,000, so you got a $500,000 mortgage, and you go and you take out $3,000 a month for 30 years, and then you lose your job, you can't afford the $3,000 a month, so you tell the bank, sorry, I'm bankrupt. Now the bank owns this $500,000 house that maybe $10,000 is paid on. Maybe let's say $50,000. But do you think the house is still worth $450,000 or $500,000? No. As we see, as interest rates go up, nobody can afford it. The value of the house actually drops because people can't afford $500,000 plus the interest rate. They can afford the total. They can't afford the parts. So they end up with a bank holds a $500,000 asset that's worth $250,000. How do the banks feel about that? So profit, the best I can do, probably by the end of the year, the real estate market will fall out. To get to the bottom, I don't know, but it'll be dropping this year. When will the bottom happen? What do you want to buy a house? Yes, you do want to buy a house, don't you? So you want to buy a house with the gold. I get it. So at what point do you buy and it's still going down? Well, you just got to watch it. You just got to. It's like asking me about stocks. Tesla's going to get their ass kicked. They can't sell cars and their rocket ships are blowing up. Not many people are going to stand in line to go on an interplanetary thing where they're going to get fried going into the radiation field that's 100 miles above the Earth. There's no demand for it. Nobody is. Where am I going? To Mars? You're gonna rocket me to Mars or Pluto or Saturn? I can go play on the rings. I mean, what are you kidding me? You can't go to any of these planets. You've been watching too much Total Recall, I think. So, I'd rather go to Total Recall than actually get into his rocket ship and go interplanetary. What an idiot. He doesn't understand Say's law. There must be demand to create a product that people want, not I'll create the product. Now, is there demand? What does he think? Yeah, everybody wants to jump on his rocket ship and blown up, or drive his car and get blown up, get it on fire, or I get to recharge it every day when the battery barely holds it, but I can't afford a new battery at $10,000. So, stock market's going to crash this year, as will the market. So it's as people need money, and a lot of the retirees are going to need money because they're not working anymore, and their money's worthless. Their stocks will be worthless. The 401ks will be worthless. So the mutual funds will be worthless, and then they'll take money out of their house or sell their house to get money to live so they can retire. And that'll cause, if it's all selling and no buying, it's going to drop. So all you can do is like watching a stock. So you watch Disney and it's 120, and now it's down to 100 because nobody's going to the theme park at $75 a head. And then it goes down to 50. And then you just got to watch it go down. All right, let's look at our gold, right? So what do? We watch gold all the time. So when gold, you see the 10 o'clock drop, and then it starts going up at about 10:30, right? So it was 29.30, and it goes all the way down about 29.10. So you're asking me, what's the bottom? And I'm going to say, watch it. And then it hits 29.10, and then it starts to go up. That's when I would buy it. 29.10 start, and then it goes back to 29.30. So I would wait for the algorithm to start coming back up. Same thing in your houses. When do I buy the house? Just watch it go down and let it go. And then when you feel like, okay, it's pretty much down, it'll probably be a big drop, and then it'll kind of settle down if there's people buying it. But what you've got to realize is this is a very unusual, rare circumstance. It's almost as rare as my Montana card, right? Or my Brady refractor. If I got a Brady refractor 10, it was about as rare as what you're getting now. The dollar's collapsing. It's never collapsed here. They've printed it. It's not worth anything. So you're asking me when's the dollar going to collapse? That's really your question, and I can only say soon. Because if BRICS goes gold back, the dollar's done. And BRICS, you got Russia just aching to go gold back. That's why Trump's probably kissing Putin's ass. He wants him as his friend because he knows if Putin goes gold, the dollar's done. So why would you want the dollar if you can get gold? None of the people that really know what's going on like us would want the dollar. We'd all want gold. People at the poker table are confused. They don't know. They got educated yesterday. That's half the fun of playing poker, is educating them on gold and just watching their faces go, oh shit, we better. I guarantee you, everybody at that table is at 9 and at my store buying gold. I told one guy, he lives near me, apparently, says, oh, I'm in your city too. And so I said, well, I go to 5 Mile and buy the gold. He does stuff at 6 Mile. Just go 1 more mile down, there's a coin store. Go buy the gold and silver there. So you realize the dollar's out. You realize the market. All you can do is just watch it, but understand the dollar's going out. And that's your ace in your hole. You know the dollar's going out. So when the dollar goes out, there will be you'll buy the house for $100, like they did in Berlin, right? It was a big 6-bedroom house in Berlin that probably went for $500,000 that you're buying for $100. That's what you're going to see. And therefore, the longer you can wait and let the shit hit the fan and watch the value, so you don't want to buy now, you're going to lose your money in it. So you're just waiting. I would rent a house, rent a condo, rent an apartment, probably a house or a condo better, rent it. And then with that, you would, it's like me, I'm renting a house. Some guy didn't understand why I was renting a house. Says, well, I don't want to lose all my money buying a house. So I'm renting the house. And then what you'll look at is when the dollar collapses and then gold, we're back on the gold standard. I'll take 2 ounces of gold and buy a house. But right now I'm renting, so I'm fine. I'm hoping my rent doesn't go up too much. I think right about in the next few weeks, I'll get a new for the next year. I think it starts. I think May 1st is when I renew. And from what they say, there's a lot of people that have been not paying them. So they said if you got 2 or 3 warnings, you can't renew. Means your credit's no good. So I think there's going to be a lot less people living here. So I'm hoping my rent does not go up that much because I am a reliable payer. You know, my credit's good, so don't hurt. You don't want to piss me off. So I'm hoping it won't go up too much. But again, I'm just waiting for the market to crash. And I got my goal to buy a house. And I don't know where it'll be. And I don't know who it'll be with. But that's what you got to see. So there is no date for that profit. There's no July 1st. It's when the dollar crashes and you're holding all those gold bars. That's when you do it. And that's why you don't want to sell the gold for dollars just so you can so you can cry because you had gold. You sold it for dollars. The dollars are worthless. What would be the play there? That wouldn't make any sense. Let your gold go to the moon. You'll be there before Elon's rockets. How is it possible rockets seem to work so much better back in the 60s? Well, what does Elon Musk know about rockets? Nothing. He's hardly a science guy. I don't know what he is. I think he's an idiot. But are they better than before? No, they probably, when it blows up now, you see it. When it blew up before, you saw that one Apollo one blow up. But I agree with you. If they were real, and they really did, as we think the one that went to the moon was just fantasy, was just a movie. And they tried to show, because we're getting, wait a minute, the shadow's coming in. Oh, they can see the golf course over there. So I don't know that they actually went up in the moon before, but let's say they did. Yeah, it's hard to believe they were made better back then. And with all the new things, now maybe AI is building it and they screw up everything. I don't know. It's a good question, but I have no idea. You would think it's like TVs. They would get better unless they made cheaper. Maybe the materials used are cheaper. And then you're dealing with idiots. You're dealing with Elon Musk. He doesn't know what he's doing. I don't know why he gets credit for being smart. He's the richest man in the world. That just means the government put a lot of shit into his. They put a lot of shit. God, I gotta go wash. They put a lot of shit into his company. That's how his stock didn't grow because of earnings. His stock grew because the government buys it, just like they do with the other ones. It's not the market, it's price fixing by the government, which is what you got the reverse in gold and silver. It's not the market making the stock, the price of gold go down. It's just the government fixing it. Excuse me. So anyway, but I wanted to answer your question. Apollo program was filmed on a soundstage. Well, exactly. So you're not going to see crashes there. They're going to sell it as look, it works perfectly. I heard they did something where they showed you the spaceship, and it was too thin for you to actually be in. It was too small to have people sitting in it. So it was never real, I don't believe. And you probably didn't see the crashes that happened, or they deleted them or something. But yeah, it's a good sense. But it's like electric cars. Well, Cars never caught on fire before, and never. Why are the electric cars doing it? Well, they're not ready. The lithium catches on fire, so they're trying to make this battery, and you can't because it's way too sensitive with the lithium. So I think that's a big part. Why are these electric cars blowing up? Again, you're going away from the market. The market never asked for an electric car. Why are you making it? You can't even make it right. You can't get a battery that will hold its charge. You got charging stations. Who the hell is going to put them in? You don't have the stations. So who's going to put them in? And where are you going to, all the charging stations you need, there's not enough electricity, especially if you're trying to do it with wind and solar. So anyway, let's hear what Mark's got.
Comex related exchange traded funds, and they are comex related because it's pretty much dictated by the price the comex sets. Now, these bets are seeking exposure to gold, so therefore they're sticky in nature. They're unable to be rinsed out into.
What he's talking about is like pension funds going into ETFs and just keeping it there as opposed to buying physical, because apparently they can't buy physical, like the Teamsters or UAW pension fund. They want gold, but it's ETF gold, which is, as he's saying, sticky because they're not selling it.
Synthetically constructed wash and rinse cycles. In fact, quite the opposite. This change in behavior is what we're evidencing here and now. And the physical facing market making insiders, they're aware and they're taking advantage of this bullish structural change in the composition of what is historically unbacked futures markets. Yes, and we'll look at it in a little while on the charts, but as we've seen over the last 2 weeks, the official orchestrated cartel is still active, all right. And because collusively they hold sufficient futures market position concentration, which is exactly what the evidence that we provided to the CFTC, and it's really about when you have excessive concentration in the hands of a few, then obviously you can control the market. It's what a cartel does. So when they hold sufficient position concentration, they can then identify, and bear in mind they're lending out these chips to people who are borrowing them from, are not paying. They're not paying full price for these chips. They're paying just 4% down. So they're able to, having lent these out, they're able to identify and wash and rinse out the speculative, the non-sticky open interest, which is the chips held by the specs who've borrowed these heavily leveraged futures contracts from the cartel. So these wash and rinse cycles are becoming ever more shallow. And it's because the LBMA CME market makers are actually exposed to the exchange for physical mechanism. Remember, we've talked about this. We've frequently referred to this as the paper market Achilles heel, because it provides the ability to take a comex leveraged position, an unbacked paper position, and to crystallize it into a future, into a foreign exchange contract, which is fully backed. So this enables unbacked futures market positions to exit the 96% leveraged casino and to be converted to foreign exchange market Basel III compliant. That means T+1 deliverable bullion, loco London, forcing their price suppression tactics to change from risky short selling to simply timed bid pulling. And that's what we're seeing. It's a change of behavior. When we see a dip, these commercials are not going short. They're just creating air pockets. Now, just for reference, I'm recording this on Wednesday the 5th between the AM and the PM fix. In fact, just ahead of the pit open, and I wanted to catch the ADP print coming through in about 5 minutes, just again to provide a more granular snapshot view of how very short term this collusive bid pulling translates into the creation of downside air pockets usually at a New York pit open or into the most illiquid times of day. And we see it time and time and time again. Often at 2 a.m. in the morning. But what we're trying to do here is illustrate the scope of what can be rinsed out is increasingly shallow, as is evident by the series of impossible to hide higher physically supported stair steps. And for that, we just simply have to move back to, say, the best illustration is the 240 charts, which provide us a good 4-hour view of what's going on. And if you remember, we've been tracking this for quite some time, and we will continue to track it. And these stair steps are also evident in the longer term charts, which kind of gets rid of the intraday chart chatter. So let's look at the current action. So while shorter term, officials have managed to rinse out all the fresh, naked, long, sticky froth, the non-sticky froth. So basically, we see a bunch of buyers coming in here. A lot of them are specs who are really just in for the ride, have borrowed chips from the casino, so to speak, to participate in the game, but really aren't easily rinsable. It actually, we evidenced a huge resurgence of Chinese demand driven by the fresh Chinese tariffs, or Trump's fresh tariffs. And it drove very large gold demand into the overshoot of central bank bids at 28.50 last Friday. And then that's, because this is a futures chart, 28.50 equated to 28.56. Now, directly after, following the Chinese gold buying into the first PM fix, sub 28.50. So since the 10th of February, despite multiple attempts to synthetically cap gold, into another end-of-month options rinse, which is what we just witnessed here. And that's, again, a rinse of speculator froth. Spot gold is now fixed above 2,900, 25 times out of 33 fixes. And that includes this morning's AM fix. And what that does is increasingly evidence that the underlying physical market dog is wagging the paper market tail. Also, attempting to cap silver at 32, which 32 is the 32 spot level, because of the premium, is roughly 32.57. So attempting to cap it into strong demand, into a very strong for demand, undersupplied global market, it's going to become far too difficult. So what we're saying is it's becoming increasingly difficult for comex-centric synthetic capping to continue to short cover these efforts to accommodate and also attempting to cap spot silver at 32, and the spot 32 level is actually in the futures contract. The May futures contract is 32.57 in round numbers. Attempting to cap that, it really into an undersupplied, a strong demand undersupplied global market is going to become too difficult. It's becoming increasingly difficult for comex-centric synthetic capping to continue into commercial short covering efforts to accommodate New York dealers taking physical delivery to cover comex shorts, alongside large backdoor loadouts, reducing rinsable spec open interest, i.e. the specs that can be rinsed. So basically, in summary, while geopolitical and tariff uncertainty has been assisted in driving safe haven flows into gold, it was Thursday's first notice bid pulling that resulted in Friday's overshoot of these very, very large central bank sovereign and institutional bids at spot 28.50 that also forced commercials exposed to the resulting T-plus delivery obligations to hedge these delivery obligations. So basically, all the medium-term and long-term gold charts remain extremely bullish.
That's the bottom line. Let's look at some silver.
All right, Andrew. Now, we've had a lot of questions from the Vault community. You're going to think this is a Shane Moran question here, Andy, but, here's what it's about. It's about silver's underperformance versus gold. Yet I know that you see silver on the cusp of a large breakout. Can you share what you're seeing here with our viewers?
Tell us,
Yeah,
Mark.
absolutely. I know it's. I must get more calls about silver than anything else. Picking up the thread then from our last episode, we recorded that on the 19th of February, where we'd evidenced spot silver being capped at $33, which was a full $2 above where the cartel mark-to-market for their derivative. There was $2 above their derivative bets. So they really wanted it back down. They needed it back at $31, which was their derivative market, the options market sweet spot. It was no coincidence that these wrong-footed actors, and I'm talking about wrong-footed to the tune of $10,000 per contract. Each contract's worth $5,000. So they were $2 offside. So $10,000 offside. So they threw the kitchen sink at silver to protect these bearish bets from being crystallized into massive losses last Tuesday, which was when the options markets get marked to market.
So this is why we fear the banks collapsing. The bullion banks, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Chase, are the ones doing this idiotic thing. And so when they can't cover it and they're losing money, well, the bank's losing money. So that's the point of why I would not hold bank stocks, why I'd be careful with my money in the bank. If they're doing this retarded things, retardo, then how safe are you that they're not going to take your money? Not very safe, because they will take your money because it's their money. You got 500,000 in the bank. You think it's yours. It's not. It's the bank's. And if the banks keep playing this stupid game, thinking they're going to get bailed out because they run the central bank, but there's no more money in the central bank to bail them out, the bank steals your money. So how comfortable are you after you just heard that the banks are the ones that are doing these derivatives to keep the price down, but they're losing millions and millions of dollars or billions and billions? And so this is why we say be careful of your money in the bank. You want to know why the stock market will collapse, because as the banks collapse, you're going to lose your money in the bank. Well, your assets in Amazon, you got to start selling your stocks. See, at the end of the day, when you're losing money, you go to your assets. So when you're not working, what do you do? You sell some gold so you can eat, or pay your rent, or pay your bill, whatever it is. You sell your gold, you sell your asset. Mine's gold, yours is gold and silver. You could sell your Montana to eat, or you can be in stocks and sell your stock, or mortgage your house, do another mortgage on it, and whatever your asset is. That's why all of Europe and Asia who are in the US stock market, as it starts collapsing, as all of those countries are, they will start selling their US stocks and getting the money out of the US banks because they need money. And it's not nobody has stocks in China or Europe. They have stocks, their stocks are in the US. And that's the problem, right? So they're going to have to sell their stocks to survive in whatever country they're in. It's not all just the US stock market. It's not just US people. It's the world. Just like the gold, it's the world's gold. It's not the US's. It's the whole Russia, China, India. They're the ones who are buying the gold, not just me at my corner store. That's what you got to understand about all this market is worldwide. And the whole world's collapsing because the idiots are using Keynesian and all their money is worthless. And that's why.
Now, if you want to give an idea of scale, into the March options expiry event, which was the end of February, silver still had over 41,000 contracts open. In other words, it had 6,400 tons of paper silver, unbacked paper silver, sitting there, and the price was $32.60. That was $1.60 above the sweet spot still. So that was $8,000 per contract underwater, and let's just call that a cool 330 million in the hole. And while they had managed to rinse out the speculator aspect of that, because bear in mind, there's some people targeting this for delivery, they'd rinsed out 26,000 speculators into first notice last Thursday. In other words, because while speculators can hold silver long, and they haven't yet been rinsed out, this is the moment, last Thursday, what we call first notice, where all the remaining lots have to be fully paid. In other words, it goes into the hands of professionals. No retail speculator is ever going to fully fund a contract. They're just gaming the movement in silver. So what that did, it meant that after all was said and done, they still had an underwater exposure of 63 million. Now, 63 million is not small potatoes. So bearing in mind, these bearish bets extend all the way into the billions of dollars of offside over-the-counter bets identified in the Office of the Comptroller report. Now, while the OCC report identifies the 5 banks on the hook for these bets, all of these banks, without exception, are long silver for their own books. And these long-standing cartel bets against silver are in official hands. And you know that officials have been managing the price of gold against the dollar, and they know silver is a component of that. So it doesn't take an awful lot of volume to move silver. So often they will lead a sell-off with pulling some bits on silver. Now, these long-standing cartel bets against silver are definitely in the official hands, and they're going to have to get bought back. Silver is coiling for a very large catch-up rally. And while blinkered speculators who have no visibility into the tight for supply physical markets have once again, they've once more allowed themselves to be rinsed out of these casino chips borrowed from the cartel, more fool them. And on the other side of this action, this counterintuitive synthetic rinse lower, every single physical facing first-tier liquidity bank acting for Chinese, Saudi, Indian buyers have been taking the long side of every tricked out speculator long. Now, bottom line, this paper market wash and rinse cycle into the 31 level rinsed out all the easily accessible bullish bets, so they couldn't take it any lower. Also, it's impossible to hide that Indian and Chinese silver buying was tripped off into the COMEX-driven breach of spot 31, the spot 31 round number, which is the May futures equivalent is 31.52. Now, while silver prices have been lagging gold, the lack of availability to secure immediate local London delivery at current COMEX diluted FX prices tells us physical silver is severely mispriced. In fact, because refiners continue to defer large size orders for kilobar silver so as to focus more on refining more profitable gold orders, shortages are even more pronounced than gold. Now, what this means, and is, yes, it's there if you want to pay a hell of a lot higher price, but if you want to pay a spot price for silver, you're going to be limited to what you can get. And what this means is that buyers looking to secure otherwise unavailable, underpriced silver bullion are surgically targeting COMEX 1,000 ounce standard bars to their maximum 3,000 lot, 465 ton position limits for loadout. And that is taking delivery, not washing it into just moving it across the warehouse blue line from one side to the other as a delivery. No, at the back door back open, loaded out. Yeah, there is some element of that moves into the dealer's hands, because they know they have to start short covering. So they will move it from a registered to an eligible position. Cannot be traded. So essentially, they're trying to back their short positions as quickly as possible. Now, the unprecedented exchange for physical spreads between spot silver, we've been looking at them over the last few weeks. I mean, this difference between spot silver and the futures markets, they're only large enough to pay for air shipping out of local London, 1,000-ounce supply, to New York to cover largely a massive COT, largely swap dealer, short positions. What that's doing is further tightening available global facing supply at current foreign exchange silver prices. This is a really tight situation. It's evolving into a coiled beach ball rally. Now, we've evidenced the largest
All right. So in English, demand is huge because the price is too low. Supply is gone. So when I do my little thing, here's the demand, here's the price, and here's the supply. And there's a big gap there. People want it, and they will pay more for it, but it's blowing up here. The supply is gone. There's very little, but the demand is huge. Anytime we have high demand, we got high demand and we got low supply. I haven't found a PSA 10 of this. God knows it's probably $1 million. Or this. We know what this PSA 10, it's $100,000. It's very limited. There's high demand and you get a high price. And that's what he just said in silver, in so many words, that they need. So when the U.S. brings in gold or silver, you think, oh, we're going on the gold standard. No, it's because they have to cover their derivatives, because the U.S. is the one doing the derivatives, J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs. And since they're the ones doing the derivatives with only 4% gold, because it's all leveraged, and people and the Germans and the Russians and the Chinese say, I want delivery. I don't want your bullshit IOUs. I want the actual. I don't want a digital Montana card. I want the real Montana card, because digital is bullshit. So with that said, that's going to spark the price. They won't be able to cover. And the price, I need silver. So the way to get silver, you'll have to pay, as he said, a hell of a lot more. And for gold. So when I give you a $500,000 an ounce silver, I'm not far off at all. They're keeping it down at 31. It's just bullshit derivatives. They're still playing the paper game. Now Prophet can ask me, well, when is that going to end? And I can tell Prophet, I can't give you a date. I know July 1st will be key because they're supposed to cover it by July 1st, but I can't say silver will be 500 an ounce, but I can tell you the demand's there and there is no supply. So the price should be much higher. Now, I don't buy where they say, well, it's competition to the dollar. That's why they're keeping it down. That's bullshit. If Bitcoin's $100,000, isn't that competition to the dollar? And yet they're letting that happen. So I don't buy it's competition. It's the derivatives. They have to cover the derivatives. The people who are taking delivery of the gold and silver on the contracts, that's why they're keeping the price of silver down, because it keeps going. They can't cover all these other derivative, incredibly stupid plays of shorting it, and they'll all go bankrupt. That's why they're keeping the price down, not because it's competition to the dollar. Fuck, the dollar can't compete with anything. All right, a little bit more of Mark McGuire.
Next physical delivery since the Hunt brothers debacle. Only this time, the bullion that's being loaded out of the comex is fully paid up and headed to facing exchanges where immediately deliverable physical bars are being priced significantly higher. During the Hunt brothers period, what they did was simply the bullion was still within the COMEX ecosystem. So what they simply did was say, no, you can't buy it anymore, you can only sell it. Well, clearly what happened. So everyone's aware of that.
The hunt's got fucked, basically.
And really now, by taking the physical out of that ecostructure, you cannot do that. And we're also evidencing large Asian spot silver foreign exchange buying as well. Now, even though foreign exchange silver is not NSFR Basel III compliant and therefore will eventually be delivered, it remains for the short term as a paper claim obligation on the seller. But once an FX silver price is locked in for a dollar price, and that's currently below the current local London critical float threshold capacity to deliver, hence it's not being delivered. And given that the LBMA cartel are refusing to supply any size at current prices, it drives buyers to source silver directly from producers and refiners outside the LBMA ring fence at a premium. This is where the real globally determined supply-demand price is discovered. That means where a seller, a physical seller, is willing to offer immediately deliverable silver bullion for sale in whatever size that he is prepared to do that for. Now, given the LBMA CME cartel are still trying to hang on to the last vestiges of a 75-year century-controlled COMEX silver cartel price that is from 1933 to now where we are in 2025, an increasingly decentralized physical silver market has become liquid enough to prey on this fast-closing FX market arbitrage opportunity. As this decentralized process gains momentum, where a physical bar has to be fully paid for before it can be offered, this further tightens local London CME supply, but more importantly, it establishes a real physical silver supply-demand price. So it's not unusual for this to translate to plus or minus 10% premiums over spot in Shanghai. Supply shortages, current FX prices is why we've also evidenced up to $1.35 spreads to short cover naked short COMEX positions. Now, the front month most liquid May contract is still commanding a $60 premium over spot, which is far larger than it should be. So, in summary, the London physical trade is no longer recognized as the globally centralized physical trading hub that it was before Basel III NSFR compliance enabled decentralized T+1 deliverable gold FX orders to directly flow into physically settled BRICS central global exchanges. Now, this decentralized effect has also majorly impacted the silver trade, driving the ratio trade to an unsustainable breakpoint. And we've even got Bloomberg now out raising the odds of silver moving higher and making the statement, keep an eye on silver as it starts to pick up versus gold. Hardly an incentive to double down on any silver price suppression.
All right, Andrew, at the start of 2025, a couple months ago, gold was priced in at about $26.30, and based on central bank, sovereign, and also institutional demand, that you had gone out on a limb, I remember at that time, to say that we would see, I think you were the first to say, a physical supported $3,000 gold price by the end of the first quarter. And it looks like we've come very, very close to that. So do you see this still as playing out here as we
of course.
We're in the beginning of March now?
Absolutely. We've got 3 and a bit weeks to go. Yeah, Shane, while resistance at 3,000 is clearly apparent, hence the race by officials to cap rises into it, and we've looked at that. What we're seeing is these efforts are becoming increasingly difficult due to what we're just discussing earlier, which is the long open interest, the chips that float around the casino now populating the COMEX and the COMEX and the exchange for and the ETFs. These are longs that are seeking that exposure, to longer term exposure to gold as this first year asset class. And as we say, sticky and hard to rinse. That changes the game. And this enables them not to get the traction that they need to be able to maintain this scam. This will expose blinkered bid pulling and momentum-induced selling to be quickly capitalized on, and we are seeing that. Okay, it was 31 this time. This should be 33 as a pullback point, and it should be obviously on the way up to 50 plus, but obviously one step at a time. Now, from a macro perspective, central bank sovereign physical gold buying is increasingly being sourced directly from producers and refiners, with the bulk of fiat FX gold and fiat FX silver to be into physical, of conversion into physical. That is actually flowing into the BRICS-facing exchanges. It's gone, not coming back. Notwithstanding that central bank sovereign monetary gold purchases don't require reporting, an increasing percentage of these flows are settled outside the SWIFT messaging protocol. We looked at that last time. In fact, to escape sanctions and freshly instigated tariffs, a large barter trade is actually evolving. And of course, there is no better fungible barter benchmark than gold. And we reliably hear that Russia supplied gold to China in January by way of barter. Notably, into a $258.90 rally from the 20th of February's, 20th of January's 27.15.60 print, into the 20th of February all-time high print at 29.74.50. Now, and of course, we'd circled this blue, this rally point blue, and said we will obviously continue to track this in every episode. Into this move, open interest, or the number of chips in play, had contracted by a significant 60,000 lots, illustrating a race by officials to short cover the naked short element of their asymmetrically imbalanced COMEX gold positions being increasingly targeted for delivery. Now, this short covering illustrates commercials are using every bid pull trick in the book to short cover. And while this partly relates to a race to bring bullion to New York to cover short positions, we're also evidencing very large EFP outflows to meet T+1 physical demand, which is not just coming from impossible to hide Asian-facing physical demand, but also an increasing percentage of COMEX open interest and ETF inflows relate to a large inflow of sticky, fresh institutional buyers seeking to obtain long-term exposure to gold. And while the daily pit open tricks to short cover, and here we are at the pit open today, which we wanted to capture here. So we're seeing some pit selling at the open, which is of course par for the course. And while this tricks in fresh short sellers looking to game the bid pulled vacuum, it also incentivizes sticky COMEX ETF and central bank dip buying, with commercials short covering these synthetically derived daily discounts. That's really all we're illustrating in this chart. So a quick look before we close the charts off at the daily in spot gold and the daily in spot silver, all looking bullish under the very short-term chart chatter. And just as BRICS settlement platforms are being forgotten about, remember we talked a lot about them and there was a lot of toing and froing, tariffs have really sparked fresh interest in this. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, he recently reaffirmed, and as he put it, BRICS nations continue to discuss implementing payment platforms alternative to American ones for members of the alliance. Well, that is inevitable. The more the tariffs get rolled out, the more it impacts And obviously, we don't know how that's going to go. And maybe this is just Trump just being strong in getting good deals. But I mean, tariffs are essentially can be interpreted as sanctions. And we've already seen Europe talking about seizing the Russian assets, and one thing and another. It just isn't very helpful for the payment system. Now, so with every single liquidity provider and almost all bullion banks anticipating it's going to cost far more dollars, pounds, euros, and yens, etc., to buy the same ounce of physical gold and silver, there's only one question remaining. How well are you positioned to protect your wealth?
I like when you said, how much physical do you own, actually? So the tariffs are basically surcharges. You're making things more expensive. Now, that doesn't mean prices are going up. Prices are controlled by the market, not by the producer. Coca-Cola cannot say I'm selling it for $10. Doesn't mean that's gonna happen, because we'll just buy Pepsi at $3. And Coke will go, shit, we need to sell it. We got to lower the price back to the market. So, it's what the market will bear. So if my cauliflower goes up 50 cents, probably not a big deal, because there's certain things you buy, like my spices, my cayenne pepper, you're going to still buy it. Now, you will compete with it, where I might buy brand A, brand B, brand C, but knowing it's all the same, it's all cayenne pepper. And maybe that gets priced up, but like Oreo cookies, you're not paying $5 a thing for it. I'll go buy Chips Ahoy, or I'll go buy Pop-Tarts, or I'll go buy something else to get sick on with extra sugar. That's what you realize. The meats, they're still, I could have got a pound of hamburger for $5 yesterday. When I got my steak, they were still $5.99 if you buy 3 pounds. Salmon I saw for I think it was $11.99 or $12.99 for a pound of salmon. So there are salmon for $21 a pound, and my favorite, the black pearl from the thing, is it's like $21 a pound of salmon. But there's always the Atlantic salmon that's cheaper, and what do you care? You don't know what you're eating anyway. It's whatever the beer's left. So that's really the thing. All it means is their cost goes up, not their prices. Now, does GM pay more for their steel? Well, maybe. Can they pass it on to me? Absolutely not. Like we said with Toyota, they want to make it $35,000 for their Camry, and nobody buying it. So people that think prices go up, I really do not understand how prices are set by us. We are the free market. We set the prices. Now, in certain communist countries, like Venezuela, they price fix things. That's why the shelves are empty. It's not because people can't afford it. It's people aren't going to produce it. If I can only get $10 for my steak, could it cost me $13? Or I could sell it in America for $13. Why would I sell it for you for $10? So that's why the shelves are empty. Daria said prices are up a little bit in Russia. But I can see you're getting more nervous about that than the minor surgery on her tooth. Well, it's not her tooth's in her gum somewhere, so I don't know how the hell that happened, but so she's more worried about that. But I understand that, but that doesn't mean, again, that's Russia. But again, as long as you have competition, you can't just raise prices. It doesn't happen that way. As long as you have, Camry, sorry, you can't make it 35. And just about everything you buy, food and clothing, Polo, you can make your shirts $100. Nobody's buying them. I go to the store, I see them for $100. I go buy something else. I go, what is this? This is Columbia. I buy I bought this instead of a polo because this was $30 and that was 100. What do I care? I don't care if I have a polo guy on my shirt. That's not important. Now, if they're all $30, I might get the polo guy, but if it's 100 and this is 30, yeah, I'm spending 30. Sorry, I don't care. I'm not immature or insecure about it. So that's really what's happening. In the market controls everything. And while we have a fake market in gold and silver, we know the real market in gold and silver is much higher. So anyway, where did my clock go? So I'm going to get going because I got to go. My gold store closes at 3. It's 2:08. So I want to go buy my birthday silver. And let's see, what was the silver? So silver's 32.55 means it's going to cost me 34.55. So if I want 10 ounces, it'll cost me $340. I got 305. I put the other 40 on my credit card. Who gives a fuck? I don't mind doing that. But he's only, for some reason, he's only $2 over spot. I don't know. That's what they're selling it for. Fine with me. We know, what did we just hear? Very limited supply, huge demand. This is bullshit, this comex price. So we're going to take advantage of it, right? $32.55 should be $300. I am willing to pay $300 for an ounce of silver if I needed to, because I know the money is worthless. However, being 5 steps ahead, I've already bought almost 700 ounces of silver at $20, $22, $25 an ounce. So I'm going to take advantage of this $34.55 before it's now $500 an ounce. And that's how you win at this game. As I said in one of my videos, the game is to find the professor, and he tells you the way out of this mess is gold and silver, not stocks, bonds, real estate trust, money in the bank, annuities. That's how you get stuck and lose everything. Attack on Wall Street guy. So if Attack on Wall Street guy came up to me, he'd be rich now, not killing everybody. So that's what you need to know, and that's all you heard in the movie. The cops going, well, I lost 30% in my pension because I have it in mutual funds. Everybody's going to lose in the stock market. There's no winner. The economy is not going to grow. Oh, well, tax. Well, it doesn't matter if the money's worthless. It doesn't matter. And then you got idiots like Tesla and Elon Musk making rockets that blow up. Oh, good. I have confidence. Yeah, let me book the next one. Yeah, he's probably broke at this point, but he was the richest guy in the world, which shows you, had he just sat there and bought gold and stopped doing his business, he would be rich, but he's too stupid. That's the same thing with Warren Buffett. He's too stupid to buy gold and silver. He'll buy silver, but he'll buy ETFs or whatever. He's too stupid to buy physical gold and silver because it just sits there. And his paintings and his collectibles, what, they don't? You got a Mantle rookie card, Warren Buffett. You don't. Where do you put it? You don't put that in your safe, but you're worried about gold in the safe. These guys are so fucking stupid. Profit. So is physical gold going to shoot up in value after July 1st? Well, it'll be physical silver also. They have to settle their derivatives by July 1st. So when the U.S., when JP Morgan is 30,000 tons short on paying off the silver derivatives, and we have all these gold derivatives that we have to pay the physical out because it's set up as you pay 4% physical when you do the derivative, right? It's 4%. And then, but they're buying, China buys the whole thing. So you owe them 96% times so many of the contracts. So yes, they're both due July 1st. They must pay it out, or I guess they can't trade anymore. I don't know, but basically they'll never come up with the 30,000 tons of silver. That'll never happen. What price should I sell at? 500 an ounce silver, 5,000 an ounce. I wouldn't. I'm not planning on selling mine at all. I'm only selling it as if I need to. I want to take Derry on a vacation, and so that's my retirement. But if you're working and making money, I'm not selling. You're not. There's no reason to sell your gold. For what? What are you going to get for it? You're going to get Canadian dollars, which are worthless, or U.S. dollars, which are worthless. Think of it like this: you want to be in what's going up, not what's going down. So you are Rumpelstiltskin. You're out of your dollar, and you're buying gold and silver because they are going up, and the dollar's going out. So you never are taking profit by selling to get back into dollars. You never want to get back into dollars unless it's a must. Some sort of bill comes up or a trip, and you need money, and okay, I'm going to sell my gold, or you want to buy a house, I'm going to sell my gold and do that. It all depends. If you want to buy a house when the market tumbles, you might use, well, you don't want to use that bar to buy a house. You can do it with 2 ounces. So if you got 35 or 50 ounces in the bar, you're not selling the bar for a house. Then you might sell 1 bar, and then you'll be fine. So you will need, if you do need regular walking around money, or you want to make it into 50 ounces, like I got the coins, not the bars. That's the only problem with the bar. It's all or nothing, right? Oh, I'm going to sell you the bar. Well, okay. And then how much are you going to need for it? Because the dollar will be gone. So it's easier to get ounces. That's why I do buy quarter and tenth of an ounce, half an ounce, and ounces. It's easier to sell a tenth of an ounce or a quarter of an ounce than a full ounce, depending on what I need. I still have ounces if I need, but I have tenth of an ounces if I need. So that's what you're keeping an eye on. So I don't know there's a target. I think it depends on what and when, and all you can do is watch it and play it analytically. But all we know is you don't want to sell now because we know it's going up from here. At 5,000, again, you really only want to sell it is if you need either money, or you need, you might melt it into ounces. So here's 2 ounces and get money for that, because you don't want to sell a bar. I mean, maybe you do, but I wouldn't think you want. What are you going to do with all the fiat worthless crap? So that's the problem. So it's a nice dilemma you have, but I don't know what the price is at this point. It depends on, do you need to get out of it? What about gold trinkets? What about it? This gold jewelry, gold little things? Well, you're not going to get an ounce of gold for it. Like, this isn't 1 ounce, but it's not gold. I get 18 carats out of this. So if gold goes to 8,000, I'll get 6,000 for this. Right? Because I'll get 3/4 of an ounce, because they believe there's 3/4 of an ounce in this, because it's 1 ounce in weight, but it's 18 carats. So it's really 3/4 of an ounce. And that's what you got. Anyway, I think that's about it. So I'm off to buy my birthday present. I joke, it's like nobody gets me a birthday present, so I get my own. I humor myself. Yeah, melting down 1 gold bar into trinkets, that's up to you. You can do that. I think I would, I would either, I wouldn't really want to sell the bar and get all this fiat money, or you could melt it down to get ounces and then take an ounce and buy a trinket or something. But yeah, I mean, just realize the trinkets you're paying more than they're worth. That's why you want the coin. If I buy the coin, if I went to buy an ounce of gold right now, it'd cost me $3,021. He's 110 over spot. So for $3,020, I could get an ounce. But if I went to the jewelry store to get an ounce of gold necklace, it cost me 5 or 6,000. You got to pay for the designer and all the creativity and him making it versus just the coin. And that's why I want the coin. I want the most value for my money buying gold, and that's buying the coin. So yeah, I mean, you probably you could sell one bar, but you're going to get a lot of fiat money, or you could maybe melt it into ounces and then leave a little bit for trinkets, I guess. But you'd have to go to a coin store and ask them, this is what I want to do, and then hear what they can do. But I know with mine, they melted mine down, and I didn't care. I got a half ounce of gold with it. All right. So have a good day. I'm off to the store and buying my birthday present. So that was that's why it was kind of hard to play poker yesterday. I really didn't want to lose the 3 because I wanted to buy silver with it. Because I'm not working, I didn't want to get crazy with it. So I just wanted to win a little. I wanted to win a lot, but I never had that opportunity. But then when it got where I'm up $20 or whatever, I was down 20, then I got up 20, 25. It was like, okay, I'm not getting cards, so I can't really do it. So I don't want to lose because now I'm going to go buy silver today with it. So I knew it was my birthday present, so I didn't want to get too aggressive, which I might have in a normal day. Okay, Prophet, you have a nice day. Or would 1 ounce coins be better? Well, again, the coins are what it is, what the cost is, right? So this was 200. Gold was $250 an ounce. I paid $550 for this. I remember 1995, and at least I believe it was $250. And so I paid twice as much for it to not get. I didn't even get an ounce of gold. I got 3/4 of an ounce of gold. Had I just bought 2 coins with my $550, they would now be worth 3,000 each or 6,000. This is not worth 6,000. That's how you kind of look at it. So you'd be better off buying the coins because they are worth what it's an ounce of gold. It's an ounce of gold. Here, I didn't get an ounce of gold, but I paid more than an ounce of gold is. And that's really the issue. All right, I am off to go buy my silver because it's my birthdays and I want sits. All right. Have a good day, everybody. www.teaserking.com. Feel good, relax, enjoy your weekend. Buy your gold and your silver.